To the surprise of absolutely no one, Rafael, Devers and Xander Bogaerts were named finalists for the Silver Slugger Award.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome to the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. I am your host, NESN's Lauren Willand. And yes, it's Friday. It is a 2-episode Friday. Jake did his player review of Garrett Whitlock and Tanner Houck earlier today. And we're going to be bringing you those kind of reviews of players throughout the offseason. If there is anyone you want us to tackle before we go through the offseason, if there's anyone you want us to highlight kind of first, let us know. LO_Red Sox on Twitter, Lauren, 3 laws, Lauren with 4 R's. For me on Twitter and Jake at Jake Iggy. Let us know. Drop us a line. Today we're going to be talking about just how Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts were nominated as finalists for the Silver Slugger Award. Like I said, it's probably not a surprise to anyone, and they've got a lot going for them. Now, I will preface this by saying I don't think either of them will win. I think their competition is just a little too hard for either of them, but the fact that both of them were named finalists in a season that was just blah and not very good, especially when it came to the offense for the Red Sox, I think that is something that at least Red Sox fans can get excited about. And with the contract talks of Bogaerts and Devers, and both of which we will talk about, Jake and I will talk about next week. We have a very exciting episode about the negotiations with Devers, and they're kind of all over the place. There's a lot going on, not so much a positive tone, but we are going to break all that down for you next week. But let's break down our Silver Slugger finalists. Let's start with Bogaerts. He has the potential now to have quite the offseason. He was named a Gold Glove finalist just last week, and then he was named the Silver Slugger finalist. And it's an honor that he's won 4 times. He won it in 2015, 2016, 2019, and just last year, 2021. So he has a chance to get 5, and that's pretty impressive in of itself. He is going up against Toronto Blue Jays, Bo Bichette, Texas Rangers Corey Seager, and Minnesota Twins Carlos Correa, who's also up for a Gold Glove at shortstop. So a little competition between those two right now. And Bogaerts, even though it really wasn't his best offensive showing all year in terms of home runs, maybe we wanted to see a bit more power from him. He was in the chase for that AL batting title toward the end of the season. And I think that says a lot too about him really hitting for average, not so much for power, with his 15 home runs in 2022. And what makes that even more impressive, and we've talked about this throughout the season, is that he was dealing with a wrist injury he suffered in May. So he wasn't 100%. He's got that looming opt-out and contract negotiation over his head all season, and the injury. And the wrist is obviously a very big part of a baseball player's production, especially someone who plays at shortstop. He's not just a designated hitter. And of course, it affects your batting and the way that you approach every at-bat. So to see that he's not 100% healthy in that chase for the AL batting title toward the end of the season, and then being named a Silver Slugger finalist is just another reason why the Red Sox really need to make this a priority to make sure he remains in Boston for the foreseeable future. So Bogaerts finished the season 307 batting average, 15 home runs, 73 RBI. His slugging percentage was .456, and his OBP was .377. And when you rank him against his competition in Bichette, Correa, and Seager, Bogaerts was first in WAR, first in average, first in OBP. He was third in slugging, third in games played runs, second in hits and doubles, fourth in home runs, and third in strikeouts. So like I said, while I believe he does have this chance, obviously he's named a finalist, of course he has a chance, I don't think he will win. I would love to see that happen. Of course, just add more hardware to that collection and continue to prove why you are a legitimate part to this Red Sox team. And we already know that. He doesn't need another Silver Slugger to prove his worth or to prove that he is a very good source of offense and even defense, even though this is an offensive award. but he's just an all-around good, strong player that you want on your team, that you want to build your team around. Now, I'm not going to go off on another rant about why the Red Sox should make sure that they sign Bogaerts. We've done that plenty of times, and we're going to keep doing that. We're here to talk about the Silver Slugger Award, and we're going to keep doing that in our second segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast. We will go over Rafael Devers, his stats, and his chances to win the award right after I tell you about BetOnline, because BetOnline.net is your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. The Boston Celtics are underway. They play tonight, so make sure you head to betonline.net. Check out all the latest odds, player developments, team matchup news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every single game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all sports wagering information and live betting, and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and the easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf, is betonline.net. Head to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Rafael Devers just continued to prove why he also deserves an extension with the Red Sox, and he also was named, along with Bogaerts, a finalist for the Silver Slugger as well. And this, much like Bogaerts, should not come to a shock to anybody. He was very reliable at the plate. And I do believe that if he was able to play a bit more this season, and some of that was due to injury, of course, nothing you can do there, that he probably would have a better shot at winning. His numbers would be boosted a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, that's going to hurt him more than help him. But he is going for back-to-back Silver Sluggers. He won the award for the first time in his career just last year. His competition is the Cleveland Guardians' Jose Ramirez, Houston Astros' Alex Bregman, and Toronto Blue Jays' Matt Chapman. So no real surprises there either. Devers finished the season batting .295, 27 home runs, 88 RBI, 358 OBP, and a .521 slugging percentage. So again, like Bogaerts, in a season that was just blah for the Red Sox, and the Red Sox essentially were out of it in August, and you could even argue July. But Devers and Bogaerts continued to just give Red Sox fans a reason to turn in every night. They were constantly just giving their all no matter what. Even when this team was out of it, there was no chance of this team making the postseason. They showed up every day. They still played, and there was still so much to like about aspects of this team, the 2022 team. As bad as they were at times, there were certain aspects to just genuinely like, Bogaerts and Devers being two of them. So among Devers' competition, he finished first in average, first in slugging and OPS. He was third in WAR, fourth games played, third in runs, and second in strikeouts. The winners will be announced November 10th. And of course, whether they win or lose, Jake and I will break down who won. And that goes for all the awards too, not just the Silver Slugger. We'll talk about the Gold Glove. We'll talk about MVP, because that is a hot topic. Ohtani, Judge, who you got. That is obviously one of the bigger awards this year that people are just very much paying attention to. And while it's great that Bogaerts and Devers were named finalists, this just gives them more leverage in their contract talks. I think that the more you are nominated for these awards, and even if they win, there you go. Like, there is another bullet point to be like, well, this is why I deserve this much, X, Y, Z. But that is going to be a topic we are going to extensively cover throughout this offseason. Like I said, next week, Jake and I are going to break down every little thing about all of the recent Rafael Devers contract negotiations, from his reported birthday visit, from the assistant GM to contract talks being very far apart. We are going to break everything down. Don't you worry. But until then, thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. Rate, review, and subscribe to Locked On Red Sox right here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast is where you can find us. You can also follow us on Twitter at LO_Red Sox, Jake at Jake Iggy, me at Lauren, 3 Laws, Lauren with 4 R's. Be sure to check out Locked On Phillies and Locked On Astros, as finally the World Series is here. Game 1 is Friday night. Be sure to check out what they have going. They're both very excited. They're just busy cranking out content, especially here on the Locked On Network. And now that you've made Locked On Red Sox your first listen, for your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. It is the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and our favorite, the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. We will be back next week. Devers contract talks, more player reviews, and any news and rumors that may come up between now and then. Have a great weekend, and we're going to end this show how we always do. Let's go Red Sox.